Okay, so in this video, I want to talking about working with programs that span multiple files in VS Code. So I'll start with just the more usual situation where we have one file. So I'll just write it like this and just have a function, whatever, something like this. And then I'll also test this function inside my main function. So something like this makes sense. I'll save it to a new folder. So I'll save it here. And I can run it. Yeah, it's all fine. So C equals 3. I can put a breakpoint to debug it, stuff like that. So uh, that's the usual situation. Now, sometimes either because you're writing a large program or because you're writing some code that someone else would be using, but you yourself are not going to be using it by actually running it, you would want to have the functions be in a separate file from the testing code. So I'll do that here. So I'll just take this and I'll copy it over here. So this I'll save as, for example, test.c. So I cannot run this by itself, right? Because add is not defined in test.c. And what happens when I just press debug here is it just compiles this file. So you can see it if I scroll up. This is what we're doing. So we're running GCC and then we're running it on test C. So that's not telling it anything about functions.c. So that's a problem. If the other problem is that even if I had been compiling it with functions.c, in this file test.c, I need to declare the function. So I need to give the header. So what we usually do is we make another file. We make the header file. So I'll name it functions.h. And in this header file, if there are any structs that we need to define, this is where they would go. If we need to declare any functions, that is where it would go as well. So I'll copy this line to functions.h. So we also have this thing where we don't actually want to include the header file more than once. So the way we do it is we put what's called a guard here. So what this does is when I'm including this file for the first time, functions h, this big functions h is not defined. And then it gets defined. And then I get here where I'm declaring the function. And the next time I try to include functions.h, this code is not going to run because functions, this guy would be defined. So that means that I'll just skip over this entire thing. So now I can safely, although it would be safe either way in this particular case, but I can safely include functions.h like this. So this, remember, is in quotes because this is not a built-in header file that's built into C. That's just a header file that I wrote, right? So functions h. So, okay. So that's like that. And it's usually, so here I don't have to do it, but it's usually good practice anywhere where the declarations and functions h are relevant to also include it. Don't have to include it here. So now that that's done, we can compile this in the terminal. So I need to find the folder first, I would say. So desktop. 90 debug 1. So I don't think that's the folder. So notice that when I'm typing in